Hey guys, welcome back to part two of the Elliott Heap podcast. If you haven't listened to the first one, make sure you go back and listen to that. And yeah, let's get stuck into part two with Elliott Heap. Cheers. And then, so obviously, then there's a bit of a turning point in your career that and I think you definitely had you were on track to definitely become a top downhill rider. You know what you in your first year you were starting to come in the top 25. I have no doubt that, if barring injury and stuff, I think if we'd have carried on with downhill, you'd have definitely made it up into the top 10 in my opinion, and probably, who knows where we'd have got with that. But obviously at the time, the top rider on the program was Sam. Sam was struggling with the downhill, and just due to many different reasons. He'd done that for a long time. He'd got incredible results. But with the rise of the Enduro World Series, and other than Chain Reaction Cycles, our biggest paying sponsor was Mavic, and they were keen for us to do the enduro. We'd been and done that one in Ireland, and both you and Sam had done incredibly well at that. And it sort of gave a spark to Sam that gave him that energy that he'd been missing for a few years in the downhill, and that love for riding and racing again. And I had to have a long think about it, and I talked to Sam and JC, and I had to speak to Michael, who was always a big downhill fan. He was never like too bothered about me having any enduro riders, but I thought it was the right decision for Sam who was in a multi-year contract with us to have a go at the Enduro World Series, which then meant, our team never had tons of staff. I was spread quite thinly, doing lots of different things. We were,
You're not wrong there, boss. You're not wrong there.
I won't
Yeah.
complain because it was I
It's
did
better
great,
than what we're doing now, isn't it?
yeah, for sure. And then we'd only have like two mechanics for the team, so I had to make the decision that to do it properly, we had to just go and focus on enduro rather than trying to do both downhill and enduro.
Hmm. Yeah.
So I came to you and said, look, we're going to do enduro. You're more than welcome to stay on the team. I wanted you to stay on the team, but if you wanted to do downhill, then you needed to go and look for
Get a
another team.
deal elsewhere. Yeah, yeah.
So, um, you went off and chatted to your dad a little bit, and then, how did that feel for you?
Um, Obviously, 2017 was the year I won my first EWS. So I was in elite downhill, and when you're doing well in one thing and not so well in another, and your whole team's kind of like 2017. Mike did a few races. I think I did all of them. And it was a hard year for me because I was basically on my own.
Yeah,
And I put a lot of pressure on myself. Just all I wanted it to be was worth the team turning up. You know what I mean? And a lot of times I didn't think it was, but that's just me personally.
yeah,
So to make that decision wasn't as hard as what you may think. I knew I could be good at enduro. I knew I could pedal. I like the idea of you being out all day. It's
yeah,
like what I used to do when I was a kid. I'd go out first thing in the morning. I'd go home when the street lights came on. And that was it. So yeah, making that decision was yeah quite easy, I think. And I just remember the first year we went to Chile and Colombia for the first two rounds,
yeah.
and I know Sam had done the enduro the year before, and he won. He did it in 2017, won the title,
Yeah.
which I was like, well, Sam's doing well. Everyone seems pretty excited about this, like everyone's putting a lot of time into it. The bike must be decent,
Yeah.
because we'd only ever played at racing the Mega. Like I knew it was an awesome trail bike, but I'd never like raced it other than like a couple of EWSs that we had to do. You know what I mean? Like I'd never solely focused on it, so I was like, right, okay. Well, the bike's decent. Sam's done well on it. It's awesome. It's the first time I'd seen Sam winning since I joined the team.
Yeah.
And at this point, I'd been on the team for, well, it was going into my third year. So I was like, right, I said, let's just give it a crack. And my dad was like, I think you can do well with it, So, and at the end of the day, like, it, like you always looked after me, and like the thought of going to another team and trying to settle in and work with a different bike and different people. I just didn't think I would not settle as easily, because I don't feel like I'm the person that struggles, to spend time with people and stuff like that. I'm not really bothered. But I think I would have struggled just not having, like, I don't know. I feel like we just understand each other, and I've worked with you for years, so why would I want to do anything else? You've been nothing but loyal to me. I didn't have the best years, at some points, and you stuck by me. So, why wouldn't I just crack on with the team, give it everything, and see where we ended up? And if it did go to absolute shite, then we could go and try and get back in on the downhill again. So that was my mindset going into 2018, first full year of the EWS.
And to be fair, it ended up pretty amazing. But starting out in Chile, Sam had an amazing race there. He ended up winning those both.
Remember the videos?
Yeah, but your first stage in Chile, tell us a bit about that. That didn't go too well, did it?
Um, well, my first stage, I remember Jared Graves knocked me out the top 10 in Elite. The first stage was the short, drifty one. And then the second stage was the
Sorry,
super long one.
that was the stage.
Remember how long I think it was like something like 16 Ks long or something ridiculous.
And there was
And
the track.
you what, sorry?
I think there was some cows or
Yeah,
horses.
there was cows on the track. It was like super flat in the middle. There was like little boardwalks over marshland where you had to turn 90 degrees onto it, pedal across it, and then 90 degrees off it. And my axle came out.
How does that even happen?
I'd never had an axle just come out. Anyway, so my axle came out. So, I'm sat there with this tiny multi tool. I'm blowing out my bloody backside. I can't see a thing. And I'm trying to get my 5 mil out and put my axle back in. And everything was all like twisted because obviously I'd been riding it when the axle came out. I managed to get it back in. I was like, oh my God, I think I lost like a minute and 45 seconds
Yeah.
or something like that. It was something ridiculous. And I was like, well, that's that race. Downhill, like, your front wheel washes out and you stand back up and you're way back. You know what I mean? So I was like, right, okay. So anyway, I got stuck in and I spoke to you at the bottom, and Sam had a bit of a mare as well, I think, and you had to have a little pep talk with Sam because I think Martin Mays was doing well or something like that. And then Sam,
Stage he put about 7 seconds into him, and I kind of told him as he come up for the next stage, and he went, "Okay, well I better turn it on a bit then," and he did.
which is like that's definitely Sam at his best. Like, so, like when I was obviously we were both trying to win the title, like, and doing it alongside him, and like again, like I said, seeing how calm and chilled he was about it, and if he had to turn it on, he could just like there was a pedally stage in Chile, and we were all sat at the bottom. It was the last stage, I think it was, and we were all stood with our head in our hands, waiting for Sam to come down,
Yeah,
thinking
gonna lose
he's
it.
going to be way back.
Yeah,
Like you've got Richie Rude, who's an absolute monster on the pedals, and the next minute Sam cruises past like this, just these massive moon boots going past,
yeah,
and he was flying.
yeah, yeah.
We were like, what on earth? Anyway, yeah, that's another story in itself. But yeah, so I ended up, I think I was like fifth at that race or something.
Still,
Um, Considering what happened, I was gutted. And that was one of the weirdest places I've ever been to, in my opinion. Like while I was racing, like you have like Santiago, which is like a mad city, and then
yeah,
we just went up into the mountains. And I remember like it was the first proper time I'd experienced altitude.
yeah,
And we were carrying the bags of shopping, and I got to the top of the stairs. And obviously, I've been training for an enduro like championship. It's a bit different to training for a downhill World Cup. So, I was like going out pedaling way more and doing like longer intervals and stuff like that. And I got to the top of the stairs and I was knackered. I was thinking, how on earth am I going to pedal up that road for 2.5 hours?
yeah.
Um, so yeah, it was absolutely mad, and everything was grey.
Yeah, I
Like
remember getting out of it because it's all the same color.
it was mad. Like it was the only race I think I've ever done where I wore a tinted lens.
Yeah,
Like it was absolutely wild. It was like, what did they call it? Anti-grip.
anti grip. Yeah, yeah,
That was it. But yeah, mad place. And then the following week, we went somewhere even more insane.
yeah.
Went to Paige's favourite place.
The cat hospital.
Oh my god, the little jelly flying through the tube.
I'll never forget
But
that.
yeah, so we went to Colombia. For everyone who didn't follow the series in 2018, and that was a mad place. We had to have a driver that had taken us round to all the um, like the stages when we were walking them and practice. Um, because we weren't allowed to drive without him, basically, because they didn't want to take us down the wrong streets and stuff like that
Yeah,
for whatever reason. But remember the street race there?
yeah, yeah. Insane, and obviously a bit of a contrast from the week before. You go to South America, and you've got that anti-grip deep dust, and then we went to the most stickiest, slippy mud ever in Colombia.
Oh, unbelievable. Literally unbelievable. I was absolutely buzzing, and it did nothing but rain.
But
Oh,
we had the Michelin muds, which were incredible.
Nigel's favourite tyre, 12 out of 10, I both.
Oh,
Like, honest to God.
yeah, and but both you and Sam ended up winning that race.
I ended up winning that race by like a ridiculous amount of time. And I remember I wasn't obviously used to that. I'd only raced all these people once. So,
Yeah,
I had an idea of who won the race in Chile and who I had to beat and stuff. And then all of a sudden we turned up to a track that was wet and rooty. And I was like, oh my God, like this could be a mint season. Let's go to more wet, rooty places. But I remember I was getting close to like the last, like obviously in EWS, you can check your stage times throughout the day. And I didn't check my times that year at all. Like I wasn't really, you know, following. I just wanted to treat every stage as its own little race as such. And I remember some lad was like sat at the side of me. He was like, "Oh my God!" I was like, "What? What's up? What's happened?" And he was like, "You're literally leading by like 45 seconds." I was like, "What?"
yeah.
And he went, "What are you doing?" I went, "What are you doing?" Like
Well,
it blew my mind.
both you and Sam demolished your own individual categories, didn't you? Sam won by, I
Oh,
think he beat second by 2 minutes, and obviously Mark Clough was racing his local tracks, and I think Sam put
mm.
to him. You put a massive amount of time into your category, and then obviously you
You just meant.
two World Cup wins, and then you had to celebrate your win by coming and dragging me out of the
I,
hospital.
I ran to the hospital with my clip shoes on. Just I can't remember if it was before or after podium. But I was on the track racing because the junior category was just after the Masters,
Yeah, yeah.
and I think it was the second stage or something like that on the day. And
No,
you
it was
pedalled past.
the fifth. It was second
Was
to last
was it
one.
the fifth?
Yeah.
Well, I just remember pedaling past the bottom of it because you had to loop round to go back up, and you were just sat in a big bloody reflective blanket going into the back of an ambulance, and I was just going, "Oh my God!" Just what I needed to see. I was like, "Oh my God!" Like, are you all right, Paige? And you was like, "Yeah, mate. I've just popped my shoulder right backwards." And remember, they were yanking on your arm.
Wrong way.
Oh my God! Obviously, you popped it out backwards, and the typical way that people pop the shoulder out is outwards.
Yeah.
So obviously, well, you can tell the story, but
Well,
um,
you don't need to bore anyone with that, but like, yeah, just what you want from your team manager is to see him lining up with his flipping Sam Hill shoes stuck out the back of a trailer, nearly screaming, asking for morphine, saying, "Yeah, go on, El, good luck," even though I was literally nearly in tears. And then, yes, fast forward a couple of hours, and I was a jelly in a tube after a high dose to put it back in, and then literally thought I was dead, and then opened my eyes, and there were you at the bottom of the bed. But he's even in help.
oh god, I bet that was bad. You thought you were dead, and then I turned up. It just got worse.
Oh god.
But yeah, I remember I ran all the way to the hospital, which wasn't too far from where the race was. Obviously the elites were finishing after me. So, Sam was still racing, so I ran straight over and found you in the hospital. I had to bring some of your ID or something with me. I remember the blisters on the back of my feet were massive. And I got there and I was like, oh my God, he's literally just dead. Hello? And like, I remember your right eye was basically shut. And Michelle obviously was going mad because she didn't know what was happening.
Yeah.
So I was like, what do I do here? Obviously, me being an absolute idiot, I thought, oh, I'll FaceTime her and show her how all right you are. And obviously, turn the camera around. Yeah, they're lying, looking like a zombie. And you just woke up from being a jelly in a tube, a Cliff Bar power block in a tube.
Was a power pop. Yeah.
And I was like, oh no, why have I just done that? And you like can barely speak. And Michelle's just like trying to work out what's going on. Oh god, I was like, why have I just done that? Oh no, like Michelle was more worried. But yeah, you came round and you was all right. And like I say, me and Sam won, and
It was
you know,
incredible. It was an incredible weekend, yeah. And then obviously, no matter how nailed I was from all the ketamine they give me, whatever else they gave me in Colombia, I wasn't as bad as Keelan in the airport the next day.
oh my god, I just remember the I was sharing a room with Keelan, and he went out, and it got late, and like I'd happily just sit up in bed watching telly or whatever, or on my iPad or anything, and probably just on the phone to whatever girlfriend I had at the time, just trying to get them not to break up with me while I was in Colombia.
Not like you, El, to have a.
no, no, just have a little argument while I'm on my holidays. That's what they all said. You're on your holidays? Oh yeah. Um. So yeah, I'd just be sat up, and then I was like, this is getting a bit late, and his bike was sat there just fully built, and I was thinking, we're on a flight tomorrow morning. So I packed his bike for him and got all his bag ready and just left him out some clothes and stuff. And anyway, he comes in at daft o'clock. I don't even know if he came home. Okay, he must have come back to the hotel because he was with Greg and Zach and all them lot. And anyway, he had a good night. But they found out it was cheaper just to buy bottles of spirits and drink that rather than like buying a drink with a mixer and stuff.
Yeah.
Anyway, so the next morning we gets up and he's buzzing that I've packed his bike for him so he didn't have to do it. And we're in the airport, and it was a tiny airport, weren't it?
So
It
what?
just the whole of the EWS were in there, like everyone.
Flights were cancelled and
Oh, it was a disaster, absolute disaster. And Keelan was cruising around with his big Johnny Bravo hair flip floating about, looking like death. And he saw me from the other side of the terminal, and he just pointed at me, and he just went like that. Oh my god, I died. Like it doesn't sound that funny, but oh god, he was absolutely written off. He was still drunk.
yeah,
Um,
he was a
and
pass.
I remember we got to Heathrow, and we had like a bit of a layover before he flew to Ireland, and we flew to Manchester at the time. And he was wrecked. he was the person on the plane that you wouldn't want to sit next to. Oh god. But
Oh,
yeah, that was funny.
funny, good times. But then obviously, after those first two races, you'd had a fifth and a first, and so you were in the hunt for the overall. and then
More P1s, man.
P1s is what we need. P1s, and you got quite a few more P1s. But where did we go to after that? Was that to Latweel or did we have Ireland before that? I can't quite remember.
We didn't. I don't think we didn't have Ireland. Oh no, I don't think we had Ireland that year. We went to Les Azores.
You sure we didn't have Ireland? Because we did Ireland 3 years. Pretty sure.
I
17,
think that was. I think that might have been 15, 16, 17.
was it not 16, 17, 18? No.
I'm pretty sure we didn't because I just won in Ireland the once, I think, and that was in 17.
Okay. All right. That was the last time.
I think. But anyway, but yeah, we went to Les Azores, and I was leading, the under 21 category at the time, and I was doing well, and then I got a puncture.
Ah, yeah.
I got a flat, and I managed to make it down into the pits and whatever, and we had one up pumps on the bikes at the time, and mechanic was taking the tire off in the pits and the wheel off, putting the thingy on. You took my pump off, cleaned it all for me. I was like, oh man, and then you put it on the wrong way up. So I was coming down the last stage, and I had this fully extended pump hanging out the bottom of my bike. It was like maybe about 4 inches lower than my bottom bracket, just
I was just
scraping.
done on purpose because you used to crash more on left-handers, so I thought that'd
That was
keep
it.
you upright.
It
Yeah.
was just like a rudder. I
Yeah.
was just leaving her up for when Sam came down later on. But yeah, I think I ended up second at that one. I wasn't far off the win, and yeah, I was gutted. And then we went to, I think it was then we went to Litchfield.
With Latweel.
Um,
And then that year we went to Petson for the first time as well.
yeah, oh, Petson. That first time we went to Petson, that was a repeat of Columbia, wasn't it?
Yeah. But
Oh,
you had some, you won your category, but you also had some like top two times in comparing with the elite,
yeah.
top fives at least.
Yeah, I think I was sitting sixth after the first day because we had 3 stages on Saturday back then and 3 stages on Sunday.
Uh,
Um, and then well, I
Right,
remember being,
your category,
yeah, I,
sixth overall, and I was starting to think, oh no, he's gonna try now,
oh dear,
being competitive, you know.
yeah, not at all.
No, and so yeah, how did the second day go?
So the first stage went pretty good. I think I had another like decent time. And then the second stage, I remember it pretty well. I was coming in and like the track dropped into like a little river, and then it went left and back out of it again quite quickly. And as I went to drop into the river, my front wheel washed out of the top of it, and I just landed at the bottom of the ditch in the river at the bottom on my shoulder, and that's where the dreaded shoulder injuries began. And and that was it. I couldn't do anything. I just remember I went into the last stage, and it was that infamous Petson stage. It's 1,000 meters vertical. It's the one off the gondola. It's absolutely brutal, and I crashed 3 times. I just kept going over the handlebars, and I couldn't work out why. Like I wasn't in that much pain or anything, and I just kept going over the handlebars. I was thinking, I'm gonna throw this all away. But I think I had over a minute of time,
Yeah,
and I was just trying my best to hold on, and I think I won by just less than a minute. But yeah, what an idiot! But the worst thing was like, obviously, I was trying really hard and whatever, but it was on a piece of track where I didn't feel like I was pushing or doing anything stupid, but that might just be me. But but yeah, like just one of them. But yeah, I won the race and whatever, and yeah, like that was absolutely mental,
yeah.
um,
That was
crazy.
a great day. Both you and Sam won that race again, and yeah, it was brilliant. And um, then after that, were we in? So sorry. So was Latweel before that?
I think the tweet was after that.
Because I remember like you were leading Latweel again going into the or did something happen and you were like you lost some time and you only needed to were you like 5 or 10?
Remember, I got a flat, didn't I? And we had to do that stage through the park.
Yeah, the one that
I'd
Sim.
fixed my, I'd yeah, I fixed my puncture, and we had to do that stage through the park.
Yeah,
And I had an inner tube in, and you were at the top of the stage, and you was like, "Mate, you can still win. Like, just dig in." I
yeah,
remember I clipped my pedals on a little tiny curb on the park, and I was like .2 off winning the stage out of everyone. And I
yeah.
think I pulled like 3 seconds back on like a 28-second stage or something on my category, and I was having it, and I
Yeah.
was having it that much that I came into the last stage, and I wasn't that far away from leading, and I
No,
was pedaling into the turn.
so fast into the last two flat grass turns, and I'm a big fan of flat grass turns. But
Me, aren't we all?
so you come out the woods about a million mile an hour thinking, oh, he's flying here. And then you carried on pedaling. What is he doing? And yeah, I think your mum and dad were there, weren't they? And I just looked at your
Yeah,
dad
yeah.
in like disbelief as you
Oh God.
front wheel in the right hander,
Oh,
pedaling still, and just flew off the track and out the tapes.
I just remember hitting the netting, and all the photographers were there getting ready for a picture at the finish line, and I was just in the net on my side thinking, "Oh, sugar, that wasn't good." But yeah, I ended up second, and that was when he had a pie on the podium. What a time!
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, good, good.
Um,
Right.
and then after that, I went to Whistler and made a mess of that one as well.
Hmm. Was that the year that you had
That
your
was
back
when I
out?
got. That was when I had my migraine and rode into a tree.
Yeah. So yeah, we went up to do some photos, didn't we, on the
Yeah,
line, and you were doing some big whips over that big tabletop, and then you
big
started.
whips and knacks, and I was like, "Woo, this is mint!" Like first time ever in Whistler,
And
and
then
yeah, just I literally whenever I get migraines, I get like blurry. It's not like blurry vision, but the best way to explain it is if I look like a reg of a car, I can't see like maybe 3 or 4 letters and numbers. Like I can just see random ones, if that makes sense. Like I couldn't read it to you if I looked. Um,
constant migraine these days. Then
just get your torch out, mate. You'll be able to see fine. But yeah, so it was weird. Anyway, so I was just rolling down A line, and Keelan was behind me, and he just said I rode straight into a tree, and like I didn't see the tree. Like I literally just rode into it, and then I ended up on the fire road about 15 foot down like a drop, just absolutely messed up, and I cut all my hands open, and I had a hole in my elbow and everything, and I had to go and get it all stitched up. It was a nightmare. And I'd literally spent all my week at SRAM sipping Cokes and Fantas and watching the slope style. Um, yeah, devastated. And then I tried riding at the end of the week with my hand like this on the handlebars, so it wouldn't touch my stitches, but that didn't go well either.
no.
So yeah, and luckily in the under 21 class you can drop around, I think, or it might have been 2 rounds.
Yeah, I think
I think it was 5 of the 8 or something.
5 of the 8. Yeah,
Yeah. So like in my head, I was thinking, right, one done. You know, if I drop that and my fifth at Chile, you know, I've still got around. Um, but yeah, so that was horrific. And I think did Sam win that one? Or was that the year when we had the prototype descent?
yeah. So yeah, I think Sam might have got second to Richie that round because I think Richie put so much
Oh,
time into everyone on the top of the world stage,
I don't know,
and then I
because
think
he'd never ridden it.
no, and then I think Sam won most of the other stages, but only by like a second here and a couple of
Yeah,
seconds. And so I think he got second, and then yeah, I asked him would he go and test out the prototype alloy descent and talked him into doing the Garbonzo on it,
that
and
was mad, weren't it?
yeah, yeah, it was mad. I mean, you know what he's like when he's on form, but yeah, he just basically sat at the top of the hill with him for about half an hour because we went up a bit early. he wasn't super keen on doing it. I could tell, like he wasn't. I think he'd done 4 runs on the bike, and then it was a race run anyway. The other guys that were up there, Blanky and all the other top downhills that were doing it, they were all like doing the crazy warm ups, the star jumps, and the little sprints and stuff. And I'm like,
Visualizing the track and stuff.
I think you're better off warm up now, mate, because he was just leaning on his handlebars like this, and he said, "Nah, but I'll warm up 5 minutes in. It's a 15-minute stage," and I was like, "Fair enough." And casual pedaled off the start line like this, and I thought, "Oh well, obviously that's not going to go too well, is it?" So I cruised down, I don't know, whatever tracks to get to the bottom. Got to the bottom after the race had finished, and how'd you get on? Yeah, won. It's like, eh? It's yeah,
Crazy,
pretty.
crazy. And like I'd ridden that bike quite a bit. I think I rode it in teen quite a lot and tried all the different linkages and well the different
The better than
linkage. I like the curve and all that was different, and we tried all sorts, didn't we? We had all sorts of different settings, which was cool to try and sound like the complete opposite one to what everyone else liked.
yeah, yeah,
I think he liked one and I liked three or something like that.
yeah. That's right.
Um, but yeah, so it was unreal again. Just another thing. It was just nice to see Sam being, the Sam that everyone else had got to see.
Yeah,
So obviously for me, you know, it was just so cool.
yeah. But
But yeah, so,
you were having a great season as well. So we were back on track from where we left. We were last there in 2014 from my perspective.
yeah, 100%.
And then obviously that moving forward to the last race of the season, and that was in Finale Ligura, one of the original enduro world
Yeah,
stages. So a pretty cool place to finish the season, but also quite a tricky venue, especially for our team. We'd never had the massive
best
success.
results.
Yeah,
No, but like so going into that race, just for a bit of context, I was leading the overall, but the week before we went to Ainsley, and I was really ill.
yeah,
And I remembered I was trying so hard, and after Whistler, I put loads of time in just to try and make sure I finished off the season really well, and just tried to make sure that like no matter what, I got the job done. And so I went into Ainsley and I got really sick, and I remember I was trying so hard, and I was finishing like fourth and fifth on stages, and I was like, oh no. And so I ended up scraping third place at that race. Um, and then finale was the week after, and I knew all the French riders in EWS are typically very good in finale because obviously it's not too far from the border and they can kind of ride there a lot. It's kind of like us lot, being from Manchester and well Wigan, if you would, Larpool, whatever you want to call it. Being from the northwest, it's like us riding in Scotland basically. It's like us going to Fort William. A couple of hour drive and they can be there. So I knew I was like at a disadvantage, but I knew I needed to win basically because if I didn't win, then that was it. That was the season done. Like second place at best, and I was like sat in the hotel at Hotel International. The place to be in finale.
the place to be.
Uh,
Go to Finale. Make sure you at least book a couple of nights in Hotel International and go to the snack bar.
go to the snack bar, the Fly snack bar. And make sure you go and see Keelan's best mate Massimo,
And
because
get
he's the boy.
yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So yeah, I remember being sat at breakfast before the race, and I was up to daft o'clock the night before, couldn't sleep, like watching helmet cam footage, and I was just freaking out a little bit, which I'd never really done before. Like a race was a race. I'd been doing it since I was 6, whether it was motocross or mountain bikes. So um, I was like, right. And I remember being at breakfast and you were like, bud, all you've got to do is beat that one kid. And I was just like, you know what? I said, fuck it, I'm just going to smoke everyone. Um, and that was my mindset going into the day. And yeah, I managed to pull it off for whatever reason, and I didn't. I won. I won on the day, and I wrapped up the overall, and it was like a win. Like I'd never thought I'd win a racing finale. It just wasn't my type of place at all. Um, but yeah, like just riding back to the pits. It's quite a long pedal after the last stage, and someone had told me that I'd won um, just off times, and I was like, and I couldn't get back to the pits quick enough. Like I was literally going hell for leather down this road. Like everyone's like cruising because they're knackered, and I was like, "Get me back!" I was so buzzing, and it didn't sink in until I got like into like the in front of the stage where you have to like dib out and give your transponders in, and like all the people are there, and I just spotted Pagey with a Heat number one t-shirt on, and then, oh my god,
Yeah.
like like best day of my life by a long way.
It was
Like
pretty.
a long way. Like, oh,
It
what a feeling.
was a good day. It was a bit emotional. I think we might have both had a got.
Oh, let's not.
A,
Remember my speech? I don't, but I had a speech.
you had a speech after, but bearing in mind you don't drink a lot and you'd had quite a
No,
few drinks, probably the bottle of champagne on the podium and then most of a bottle of lemon,
limoncello.
thanks
Still love that stuff.
to Bridget. Uh,
Yeah, and whatever else along the way.
yeah, so yeah, your speech was quite it was lovely and quite emotional. Uh,
I
who,
got the nickname Kleenex after that speech.
I wonder who gave you that nickname, the nickname giver. Yeah,
Yeah, Sam.
you might have shed a couple of tears in your speech, but
Mm,
deservedly
just a
so,
few.
mate.
I know the med had never been so full.
I think Jack Moore might have surfed one of your tears.
Tears.
And if Dan Booker had been there, he'd have been all over it. But
I
that was,
know, that's it. That's it. Eddie Masters on his boogie board.
yeah,
But yeah, Sam. So like, yeah, like you say, like I managed to wrap up the title, and it was like my first like world, championship, and Sam did it on the same day. So like we only had we had me, Sam, and Keelan,
yeah.
and like we had two riders in elite, and we had me in under 21s, and out of the two categories that we were racing, we won both of them, and that was Sam's second title in a row.
Yeah, I mean, incredible that like looking back now, and now we're not running as a team. Sometimes you can not appreciate as much, the achievements that we got, and yeah, that was a special day for sure, mate. Uh,
Oh man, I just remember like everything about it was oh
yeah, yeah, it was incredible, and don't forget, I can't imagine there's too many people in the sport that gives you overall downhill junior um, third place medal, a four
yeah,
cross silver medal, and
yeah.
uh, an under 21 world title. That's
I
three
know.
and three
So,
overall.
it's mad. Like you say, jack of all trades, master of none.
I would say that.
uh, the nickname Swiss Army Knife got used quite a bit.
Yeah,
Once we realised that I could do more than one thing, all right. Maybe I should stop sandblasting water tanks and go and race BMXs or something.
I think you wasted not doing, but we're at a position now where we've got to do what we've got to do to get by, and I'm
Absolutely.
hopeful that we can get back to it in the not too distant future, hopefully. But um, before we end on the where we're at now, after the incredible 2018 season, you moved up then to the elite category, and with the results and times that you were putting against the elites, it was looking like you were definitely going to be a contender in the elite category for definitely top fives and top tens. And yeah, what how did that how did that affect you going into that season, and what were your expectations, and how did you think you got on?
So my goals for my first year elite was to try and be consistent and just like my aim was top 20 at every race minimum.
Right.
And I think I got two top 20s all year. And like, I was like, oh my God, what is going on? And I was just disappointed. And I didn't feel like I was, I don't know, felt like I kind of lost interest because I was trying really hard. Like, well, I felt like I was trying really hard, like I was last year, but I wasn't winning anymore and I wasn't getting anywhere near that. And it was like, I was like, well, hang on a minute, what's going on here, kind of thing. And I think I lost a bit of confidence and a little bit of belief. Um, so 2019 really wasn't my year at all. Um, yeah, I just felt like I wasn't. I don't know. It's like I wasn't there, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And I was trying really hard, but it just wasn't coming together. Like I think I had a 15th was my best result, and I had an 18th. You know, and I showed glimpses of greatness, but you know, it never really transpired as such. You know, I could never put it together. So yeah, it was a bit of a lull for me, and you know, again, Sam was performing really well, and he managed to wrap up the title again in 2019, which was madness. So like,
Yeah.
I always spoke to Sam, and you know, looked for a bit of advice and stuff, and I think he even said to you that year that I just didn't seem that keen. Um, which I don't think I was. Like I was trying, but yeah, for some reason I just couldn't put the pieces together, and that was probably my hardest year I've had for racing, and my least amount of fun.
Yeah, well, I think when
Um,
when you've come from a season where you're battling for the overall, and you achieve that, and week in week out you're on the podium, and then you're quite far off it. That mentally, that must be really tough, and I think a huge, obviously, as long as you're fit and you're healthy, I think the biggest part of mountain bike racing is your mindset, and how confident you are. And when you're confident, and you believe in yourself, you get the results. But if you're not confident and you're battling in your head, then it just gets worse and worse.
hmm. Like that was the year like I lost my passport and I turned up to the race late. I was riding a mullet that was just a 275 bike with a massively high bottom bracket, and like I just felt like I was a little bit lost almost. Like if I just stuck with what I had in 2018, I probably would have done a lot better. Um, you know, but that was that thing of yeah, just looking. I was just trying to find something that made me go faster.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what you do when you're not confident. You know, you look for answers, and um, at the end of that season, I had a good look at myself, and you know, it was quite a I just looked at myself and thought, you this isn't good enough. And I thought, well, in my head, it was like, you know, if this happens, like you're lucky that you've not been sacked. That's how I looked at it. You know, any other job, and I probably would have been sacked. Do you know what I mean? Um,
Yeah, well, I understand it's some years just don't go as well as other years, and then I think after that season, we had another good team camp with SRAM in Pay in the south of France, and
yeah,
that camp went really well. Yourself, Sam, the other riders were all uh, you know, looking really good at that team camp, and flying, and that we had a good time, and then everything got put on hold because of COVID. So that was a
brutal.
that was a huge stepping stone in the team and the race calendar, and I think that time affected people very differently depending on who you were. And then we ended up, after a big pause, just me, yourself, and Ant. Keelan was injured. Sam decided not to bring over from Australia just for 3 races. Me, you, Stotty, and Ant went off to Switzerland for the one of three rounds in Zermatt, didn't we?
That was it. And what a time we had there. We went out a little bit early. We
Yeah,
went to Morjan, and we had two brand new bikes.
yeah. The new Meg.
Um,
Yeah,
that's it. We had the was it the 2021 Mega, was it, or something like that,
yeah.
that was getting released at the end of the year?
Was it the Mega V4,
Yeah,
the first full carbon bike, and then we had the prototype Giga that wasn't released then, but we were to
yeah,
an edit filming on that in Zermatt.
yeah. And like we had the wrong shocks and all sorts. Remember, we had like the wrong tune on the shocks because no one had really ridden them.
Yeah,
Like they just got built up and taken out there. We had the Zeb for the first time.
yeah,
Um, so yeah, that was mad. And I just remember jumping on the bike at Morjan, and obviously you've been sat in lockdown. I was still going to the gym, and like me and Brayton were riding quite a lot together. Because it was our job, and we had to. Well, I knew that at some point we'd be racing. So we. This is Lauren, by the way. Um, so so yeah, we to keep training and just try and work to a date. And some people struggle not having a date to work towards, and it's one of them. You just have to stick in. So going into that race, we had new bike, and I jumped on it, and we're in Morjan, and it was like the speed we were going in Morjan was ridiculous. Like it was such a fast track, and I was like, it took me so long to get back into it. Um, you know, but yeah, we went into racing. I really like the new bike. I like the Mega and the Giga. So yeah, I was grateful that I got to race that, and I was enjoying it, and I thought it was a really good bike. And just riding for a week with your mates, in the sun, and feel like you're getting faster and getting more comfortable on the new bike and stuff. And I'm like, right, okay. I'd changed my training up massively from 2019, so I was feeling good. I was probably in some of the best shape I've been in, so I was confident. I was confident. I felt like no one was training. People are training really hard, and I'd always push myself so hard. Like I was throwing up every week, which people might see as a bit too much, but if anyone's ever raced an EWS or an EDR, you get to the end of the stage, you're coughing your ring up, you feel like you're going to be sick. So if you can train like that and be comfortable in that red zone all the time, and you're not getting ill all the time, and it's maintainable, then why not? Um, so I felt good, and we went into that race, and I thought Ant Hale might beat me the way he was talking.
yeah.
I got so much stick that week.
Well, it's always good to have a bit of friendly competitiveness from your mates to make.
Absolutely.
And and that yeah, and then that race nearly didn't happen because of the weather, and we ended up just
Mm.
doing two stages. It was snowing for the second stage, and but yeah, went pretty good. I think were you third on the first stage?
Yeah, I think I was third on the first stage, and then I was like 12th on the second stage. And the second stage was like the first stage was like my cup of tea.
Yeah,
Like wet, like quite tight, rocky, rooty, muddy. It was so muddy, weren't it? I remember I'd never raced in a base layer, and I got arm pumped so bad. But I don't. I was just. I guess I was used to having arm pump from back in the days. So it was just one of them, and yeah, absolutely mad to like get. Well, for me, it was huge because there's still quite a few big names there. Obviously, Sam didn't make the trip over, but the top
yeah,
dudes were still there. And to be competitive and close, I was like, right, I'm back. This is where I should be, kind of thing. Um, so yeah, absolutely brilliant. And then the second stage didn't go as well, but it was a bit more of a pedally, bike parky. Um, I thought it was a bit more of like a roulette with what rut you picked on the grass at the top in the snow and stuff. And we raced from like a little bit further down from the top. I had some before the first stage. I had some fella arguing with Rory Cunningham, trying to walk down the track. Some fella that lived there, So obviously, Rory had his time off the bike and he was massive now. He's been going to the gym. So he just kind of shouldered him out the way a little bit and I set off in my race run. I just remember giggling around the first two turns, wondering what was happening at the top of the track behind me. But yeah, absolute madness. So that race went pretty well. Yeah, I think I was seventh or something like that.
So
Which was, exactly what I needed. Again, a lot of people was like, saying, it's COVID year, it doesn't really count and all this stuff. But for me, it was like a massive confidence builder. Yeah, it was huge. So yeah, I had a great time in Zermatt that year, and what a place that is. If no one's ever been to Zermatt, I'd recommend you just go once and just experience it. It's like a different world.
it's good time. And then obviously we were due to go home then, but because they changed the stupid rules where you couldn't go home and all that stupid, which now
Yeah, quarantine was like 2 weeks long and stuff like that, weren't it?
what a waste of time. But anyway, we ended up going out to Hotel International and basically being
Yeah, we did.
what for about 4 or 5 weeks. Um,
Yeah,
had some good times on the mopeds, me, you, and Ant.
did we?
Uh,
Oh, so good.
and Super Mario.
I
Um,
know. Ant reckoned he was Billy Bolt.
and to be fair, would do
He's
quite well.
not far off.
Yeah,
He's not far off.
I'm pretty amazed Ant's still alive. The risk he was taking on the moped, um, between buses when we did it. Was it my idea to ride to San Romolo? Um,
From finale, I think so, yeah, because me and Ant didn't even know where it was.
so that was
Um,
which was pretty stupid.
Down the coast roads, absolutely flat out.
Yeah,
Oh, it was brilliant.
you two were on the higher bikes, which I managed to get, and I was on flipping Patricia's. Uh,
Borrowed windscreen mobile.
had a windscreen, so when the sunlight hit the windscreen, I couldn't see a thing.
The
Uh,
windscreen was like a typical church window, like a stained glass window shape, weren't it? It was so tall. Oh god, it was absolute. So you ended up modifying it and taking it off in the end.
I had to take the windscreen off for the big trip to San Romolo, and then also, I was a bit conscious that I'd borrowed this off our friends, and I shouldn't be trying to do a big enduro like you and Ant were doing with your mopeds. Uh, so I had to be a bit sensible there, and then
But
I
you
thought,
bought a nice custom helmet though, didn't you, from the petrol station?
why would you not buy a helmet from the petrol station? And with a visor, and then yeah, cruising along, minding my own business, and your butty box flew off the back and came
Oh,
like that turtle on flipping
Mario Kart.
car. Then I
God.
got a bit excited and hit that jump on the roundabout. I think I actually died laughing.
Forgot about the jump on the roundabout. Oh, so there's a roundabout and we went round it. And Nigel just comes in and just goes, and as he went up it, it's like slightly at an angle like this. So his back wheel like slid out and left a big skid mark up the roundabout. Oh my god.
I nearly needed me petrol station.
Oh god, that was absolutely brilliant. Oh dear. But yeah, we ended up going to San Romolo. We went to this place where you thought we could get pasta or something, and it didn't open for about 2 hours. So we just sat there, and there was this donkey, and we were just finding things to feed the donkey and the pigs. Do you
Donkey,
remember in the
yeah,
and Ant was doing his Axel Hodges, weren't he, off the speed bump or something like that?
yeah, yeah.
I've still got pictures of it. Oh god, what a time that was! That was
Good.
brilliant.
And then anyway, then we only had two more races that year. So after the first one was in Petson, which is just down the road. Um, so that one went okay, didn't it? How did you finish up in that one?
Was it? Oh, it's Pietro, weren't it? Sorry.
Sorry, Petson, Pietra.
Yeah,
Pietra.
yeah. Pietro went okay as far as I can remember. Yeah, I think it went all right. I think I was like just outside the top 10 maybe, so not as good. I can't really remember to be honest.
Yeah, it
Went
was
a lot better than finale did.
it was all right. And then obviously then the back to back the week after the third round of the 3 rounds series that year was in finale, wasn't it? And
Yeah.
I was racing in the Masters and I flipping snapped my chain and wrapped it round my back wheel. So I came back to the pits early, not forgetting Robbo. Nearly forgot about Robbo.
He can't get away with not getting a mention.
Robbo came out, didn't he, for the trip? He did. Did he do Petson and finale or just finale?
Yeah, no, he did Pietra and finale because it was Pietra where he died in practice, remember?
Yeah, with his
And we
one
were looking for the green door.
green door saved our lives. Uh,
Oh, God. Aunt
and
Hale will tell you I saved his life at that race.
yeah, and then yeah, because Robbo, I think Adrian Day won that race, didn't he? And we're all having dinner in the square after, and it was pretty
Yeah.
chilled on their table. Like there was no celebrating going on
No, no, no.
like us with the limoncello. But Robbo, I've never seen anyone as happy because he got on Vital Raw, wasn't it, with his crash and his.
Absolutely massive crash. His legs just flew over his head on his reactor. And honest to God, it just looked like a cartoon, didn't it? Just flat out down off the track, completely the wrong way.
Yeah.
And he just hit a fallen tree, I think it was, something like that. And he just went yeet and just straight over the handlebars. And he was buzzing.
So
Like
happy.
everyone was sharing it on social media. Like, it was absolutely, whoever, I think, was it Adrian, like you say, won the race? Nothing on social media. Lil Robbo everywhere, plastered.
I think that put the firm on the map.
Oh, it did firmly on the map.
Uh,
But yeah,
and then obviously the week the one after the last one for that season was in finale, and yeah, as I say, I blew my bike up, so I rolled back down to the pits knowing we were gonna be leaving that day. And tell us what happened to you.
I can't remember what stage it was. I don't know if it was the first or the second stage, but I remember my chain came off and it got wrapped around my pedal.
Mhm.
So for whatever reason, and I remember I came out of a corner, went to pedal, and my cassette went into my wheel. My chain twisted, and I twisted about. It was a ridiculous amount of chain. It was like maybe 9 or 10 links of chain was completely twisted. So I was like looking at it, trying to work out if I could do something with it. My jockey wheel had snapped. So I was like, how am I going to make this work? I was at the bottom of the track. Everyone's just riding past looking at me. Have you got everything you need? I was like, well, unless you've got a mech, mate, no. So I was like, you know what, sod it. It's the last race of the season. So I just ran, and I just ran the liaison up to the next stage, and I made it on time. Did that stage, and then I had to do another one. I think running, or I think I had to run like maybe like 10Ks back to the pits on the flat.
Same.
And in clip shoes, my feet were slapping, making the most ridiculous noise. I'm just running, pushing my bike. And I think Florian Nicolai helped me, and maybe Damien Otton and a couple of other dudes helped me out and like push me on some of the bits where it was flat. But obviously, they don't want to get tired either. But so I was just grateful for the help and made it back to the pits. And it was Alexi from Mavic that was mechanicking for us at that race, and he put me a new mech on, and I needed a new chain ring and chain. Oh, it was a disaster. And went up for the last 2 stages, and I had nothing. My legs were absolutely written off.
Yeah.
So I just went into survival mode basically, and just got round and didn't cramp unlike some people. Little Robbo to be mentioned.
And Robbo rang me up and said, "Was it okay if we didn't race?" Like I was his mum or something. That's him. Uh,
Oh, poor bugger! Like that was brutal, and it was so hot.
yeah, it
Like it
was.
was so hot. But yeah, and then I remember getting back. We got back to the pits. The van was already loaded, and we literally just chucked the bikes in, and me and Nigel were awake for about 18 hours.
Yeah.
if not longer. And the only time, like, if you're ever on the Nuke Proof or Chain Reaction team, you knew on the way home the only time you were allowed to have a piss or eat was when we were at a petrol station. Like, that was it. We weren't stopping at any auto grills. Nige was running on High Five Extreme, and whatever wild flavour of crisps he could find in the petrol station, and Tomorrowland. But we made it every single time,
Yeah, that
and we didn't stop.
I think that was the hardest drive I've ever done. Yeah,
Wasn't it Maya's birthday or something like that?
21st the next day. No, 18th, 20th. So I
We
needed
were
to get up
rushing.
for that.
You
And
go on my 18th.
it was 18th, wasn't it?
18th.
So yeah, I remember well, I'd done the morning race, so I started off at the crack of dawn. So I'd then then I was packing the van. Then we went and paid for the hotel and stuff, which was about 45 grand because we stayed there for 6 months. And then
Just living off ham and cheese toasties from the fly snack bar and coca.
and then we went to yeah, went to the fly snack bar, got a burger and chips and stuff. Then we said our goodbyes to them, and then we set off. I think we got to the Mont Blanc tunnel about midnight, didn't we? We were nearly out of juice and we couldn't find a petrol station, so we did about
Oh
14
God, that was
laps.
horrific.
Yeah. And then I just remember, I don't know how we got there, but we got to the tunnel, what, about 5:30 in the morning or something?
Something like that, yeah.
And I had like about 5 minutes kip in the tunnel and then cracked on again. And then I think every single motorway was closed on in the new.
Oh, that was ridiculous. We ended up going round all Stoke-on-Trent and everything. It was ridiculous.
Anyway,
Oh God,
made it
made
and
it
got
back.
home for Maya's birthday, didn't we, Maya? So yeah, good times. Weird year, but we had a good time there. And then yeah, that led us back into 21. And then Sam was back racing for the team, and he'd kind of lost his mojo, hadn't he, after the COVID year, and I think having so much time off. So um, for me, that was, I don't know what it was like for you, but that was one of the hardest years managing the team, just the team dynamics and the vibe in the pits. You know, it was like Sam was struggling mentally as well as his results, and just and then obviously I was in the kind of the middle, trying to support Sam and to motivate him where he was struggling, and then you kind of stepped in as the rider that needed to get the results. I thought it was a really weird and hard year, and I'm not sure how what your thoughts were on it all.
It was hard for me because obviously, I wanted to see, like, I always wanted everyone to do well, and I didn't want to. When I was doing bad, I didn't want to hinder other people being bad, and you could tell, like, when things aren't going the right way, everyone tries to put a smile on and get on with it, like. Whereas that year, that kind of didn't last that long, if that makes sense. So you're like, you have a couple of bad races, and you're like, yeah, it's all right, and it always picks up. It always does. But it wasn't.
Yeah.
So like I was doing okay. Like I was just outside the top 10 quite a few times, and I wanted to crack that top 10, and never quite made it for whatever reason. But like I was doing quite well, and so like it was hard for me to try and like I was buzzing after some races, and you'd come back to the pits, and it wasn't like when I'd done well in the past, and everyone was buzzing. Everyone was kind of dwelling on like you know like why is Sam not doing as well as he could be, and like I should have been, like, in my eyes I should have been doing better than I was, but I was just happy to be consistently in the top 20, top 15, and it was a weird season.
Yeah, I
Very
think
weird.
we'd had so much success, like 3 world titles with Sam, and you're under 21 world title, and then just the whole vibe of Sam basically didn't want to be there, did he? And
Like
wasn't.
to say it how it is, it was it was quite apparent, and that's nothing against Sam at all.
No, no,
Um,
it was hard to
it was hard to watch.
watch. It was like kind of sad, and it was hard to get my head around. Trying to manage the two different. Not that I
Mhm.
have to manage it, but just I always try and help with how everyone's feeling, and it was
Yeah,
it's hard. And I think even if Sam wasn't capable of getting the results, he wasn't getting involved in helping you, and that was kind of pissing me off. Uh, and then I was, getting a bit down on it all, which obviously I try not to, but I guess that.
yeah, that's what I mean. Like everyone, everyone might be pissed off, but you always you always try and be positive for the sake of everyone else. But that year it just didn't seem to last that long. Like we got halfway in, and you knew everyone was a bit pissed off, and like the mood just like you say, like for me it was okay because I was trying to do my bit um and perform as such. Oh,
um,
have I lost you? Oh,
yeah, you were getting
and
really
I was that's all I could do.
yeah. Obviously, I knew you wanted and were capable of even more than you were doing. But you were doing the best on the team, and that's where we were at, and it was difficult. And then um, moving into so that was 21, and then 22 uh, didn't really. um,
That was probably that was harder for me than 2021.
22 was.
Yeah,
That
just
that was the first year that we introduced Dan and
Dan
Louise into the team.
DTM.
DTM come over a bit early. Again, a phenomenal bike rider. Kind of a
Absolutely.
bit different, but a little bit like yourself. He's really good at lots of different aspects of bike riding, not just
Hmm.
a racer. Um, and then the first race of the season was Tweed Valley, and I'm sure it's a world level event with the best guys in the world, but I honestly believed that you could win that race. And
I think if I went back now, I probably could win the race.
yeah,
I think I tried a little bit too hard, and that was evident in practice. I'd ridden all the tracks quite a lot. I recently moved up to Scotland for the sake of training and trying to elongate my career as such was it's quite an investment. So that was my idea. We're moving up here, and I'd ridden the tracks a lot, and then I went out in practice, and I was trying to do stupid shit like gapping stuff that I'd never even thought of, and it was just the pressure of the race, and I really wanted to win. And I felt like I could. We did Vallelujah the week before, and I felt like at that race, I felt like I couldn't crash. Like I was pushing so hard, and like my bike was just hooking up, and I did well. And for whatever reason, gave me a lot of confidence going into racing the EWS, and yeah, it just didn't really go that great. I had some good stages, but I crashed on Feed the Pony. I crashed on that one, and I can't really. Oh, the first stage, what was it called? Pre-drinks.
yeah,
3 times I crashed on pre-drinks. Remember it was like wet and slippery, and I was just trying way too hard. But then they had some like I've nearly won the last stage. Like what? Sorry.
might have crashed on three of the stages.
Yeah, maybe. I crashed a lot, and I was just trying too hard, and I knew I was. And then the last stage came up, and I was like, right, I need to salvage a result here, and I think I was just in the top 10 going into the last stage. So I literally just give it hell for leather, and I was like point naught something or point something off winning the last stage.
Yeah,
Innes Graham just picked me. Yeah, I was sixth, Dan was fifth, and Dan had a bit of a mare on one of the stages. But it was looking really good for the pair of us. Like, it was awesome to have someone to race against. And Dan was very different to me with his outlook at things, and I was quite different to Dan, obviously. So I kind of had experience on my side, whereas Dan had like a laid back outlook at things, and it was kind of yeah, he just kind of like float through the race, like no worries. And I think Dan was like way more methodical than what I thought he was. But yeah, it was a new person on the team, fresh face, and like you say, I think Dan's did awesome, and I've got a lot of respect for Dan just turning up and doing mint straight away off the bat, like so. Yeah, so I was looking forward to the season. I thought, we can build on this. I've got a good top 10 start.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it never really transpired. Very up and down. I had some good results. I had some not so good results. And yeah, I don't know. That was again. It was like kind of like 2019, except 2019 I knew I was missing something. I knew I could have been a bit fitter for the pedally stages. Whereas like 2021 and 2022, if people were out pedaling me, it was annoying. You
Yeah.
know, like I felt like I'd trained really hard to be good at that because I was good at all the other stuff, like the technical stuff and things like that. And so I was like, yeah, I thought, right, well, I've got all the tools now. Why is it not happening? But I think mentally that was what I was battling with, was why it wasn't happening rather than what can I do to make it happen, kind of thing. I kind of thought it should. I was working really hard, and when you're putting the effort in
Yeah.
and you're
Yeah.
trying as hard as you can, and it isn't happening, then you start to question yourself and lose confidence. And I think that's what was happening throughout the year.
Mm.
Um, and then yeah, so it didn't really go that great. I think I scraped 20th in the overall. Um,
Still decent, but you
yeah, but
took a lot more.
yeah. And the 2021, I was 15th in the overall. So I went backwards, and you never want to do that.
No.
Like you know, like the only time I ever went backwards was when I moved into a new category. Up until that point, so it frustrated me a lot.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was a tough year for me. A bit really tough. Yeah. So
Yeah. But then, and then we're going into 23, Dan decided to, concentrate on the full enduro series with yourself and Keith,
mhm.
and sent you guys out early. Dan's mum was good enough to put you all up in a.
Yeah, Sue, what a legend.
Hey, thanks, Sue. Really appreciate that. And obviously, huge race for Dan on trails that he'd, helped build when he was younger, and his home sort of, even though he didn't live there all the time, his home sort of race. Um, I was thinking, if you guys went out a bit earlier, you'd get a bit of, time on that dirt and those trails.
Yeah. Even just the jet lag and stuff like that's a massive help. Just being there a little bit earlier.
Yeah.
But yeah, and like going into that race, like Dan knew them trails so well. And
Yeah.
like when we first got there, you just set off on like a steady run, and he'd just disappear, and I was like, oh no, this isn't making me feel good at all. Um, and again, we had brand new bikes, we had a couple of little things to iron out with those. We had different suspension again. Um, so yeah, it was for whatever reason, trying to get them dialed in, and we felt like I felt pretty good. We had Corey on the team, and Keelan there as well. So there was four of us there, and we had a good time. We were working hard, we were riding a lot, um, and the main focus obviously was the race. And then we went into the race, and I think I crashed on the first stage or something. And I was like, well, that's what a way to start. But I got stuck in, and it was going well until I flattened my wheel.
Yeah, second stage, I think you were like within point something of Dan on his home trails, which obviously
Yeah,
you got the pace, and which he definitely did. And then unfortunately you broke your wheel and had to
Call it a day. Well, go and take a time penalty. Oh, I forgot about that. That was even more what would you call it? Dirt in the wound.
Yeah,
So yeah, obviously I broke my wheel, and everyone knew I broke my wheel. I had to limp down the fourth stage. Got back to the pits and changed my wheel, and we went up to the last stage, and it was like an uplift to the last stage, I think, something like that. And I just told the commissar at the top of the last stage, I was like, look, I've changed my wheel. More than happy to take the time penalty. I just want my points for the stages. That's what I was after.
yeah,
So like I knew my overall was going to be absolutely shite, and but I wasn't bothered. But I was going into last stage. I was like, right, okay, stick in. You can get some decent stage results, and I stuck in too much and took the front and just landed on my shoulder, winded myself the worst I've ever been winded, and got back up, and I felt all right at first, and then yeah, his shoulder was absolutely. I was in agony. It was horrendous. And obviously, like I spoke about it before, I'd done my shoulder before, but never done it like that. And it was horrific. And then I get to the bottom, and Dan did amazing, got second, and Keelan and Corey both rode really well, and everyone had a mint race. And the following week, everyone was going into Derby, and I was I woke up, I think it was the next morning, and I looked at the results to see, where my points had got me in the overall for my stages. Um, and it said DNF, no, DSQ, sorry, disqualified. And I was like, hang on a minute. So I was going mad because, I told the commissar, like, loads of riders were there present. They saw me tell them. It's not like I was trying to be sneaky and get away with it or anything like that. And yeah, they took all my points away from me, everything, like complete, no points, no nothing, last place, Elliott Heap, DSQ. And I was like, I've never been disqualified for anything, like right from when I first ever started racing. So it was a proper kick in the teeth. And basically, it was because I was meant to, mid race in the pits, go and find the commissar and ask for permission to change my wheel. Because my wheel was knackered, my wheel was in pieces, and if I, as if I was like going to get an advantage
yeah,
by changing it, when in reality I was like, I just wanted my time penalty and my points. So it was a bit of a ridiculous, really. I told the commissar at the top of the track, so they knew that I had a
yeah,
penalty,
yeah.
and but I just don't understand the rule of asking. You know what I mean?
Well, it's just
At the
yeah,
end of the day, I wasn't going to ask, and they were going to look at my wheel and they were going to go, no, you can't change that. There's nothing wrong with it. Do you know
yeah,
what I mean? Like,
yeah. Yeah, it's a ridiculous thing, and I went and saw them the week after in Derby and tried to argue the case, and they were understanding, but yeah, they didn't overturn that, so that was a crap situation and disappointing for you for sure, because I think you were fourth on the second stage, weren't you? So you would have got some decent points.
so yeah. Anyway, it's one of them, and it was just kick a man wise down. You know what I mean? So I had to watch the racing derby the week after, and I think I ran around the whole race because I was that over, just being stood still doing nothing. Um, and I had my shoulder taped up inside my jacket, and I was holding on to my zip so I could run around a bit. But my shoulder was that bad. I had to hold on to the tap in the shower and walk backwards to pull it out to wash all under my arm, and then walk back towards it because you'll know with your shoulder, like as soon as you let go, oh my god, the agony.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was absolutely brutal. But the boys did really well, and it was awesome to watch. And Phil, it gave me like a bit of fire, to come back with the bang. And like I got home and I got an MRI. I had to pay a fortune for an MRI to see my shoulder was all right. And I went to this physio in Penrith every week and drove down there because they were the best with shoulders and stuff like that. And no expense spared. I just wanted it to be right, and it never really was, which was weird. Like it'd feel good, and like I'd be, I could be in the gym and I could do all my shoulder exercises with the same weight on both sides, and whatever I did, it felt good. And then I'd come into a turn or like my front wheel would twitch, and then that'd be it. It'd be back to square one again. It was just like click of the fingers. But I had an MRI scan. It was there. It was written in black and white by a doctor that there was nothing appeared on it other than some form of what's it called? The sac on the outside of the on the outside of your socket, basically. They said that I'd flattened it and there was no liquid left, so basically my joint was just rubbing on each other. So that just takes time to fill back up. So I was like, well, that'll be that then. I'll be back on it. So yeah, and just throughout that season, I'd have some decent stages, and then I guess I was just never fully confident to just let go, and I never really had enough time between the races to get something sorted properly or anything like that. So it was just a battle all season. It was just crap, and I just felt like a waste of space. Obviously I always put more pressure on myself than what anyone else put on me, and when you're underperforming, it's horrendous. Especially when you've got all these people putting so much money, time, effort into you, and it was tough, really tough.
Yeah, I could see it was tough for you, and I felt sorry for you, but there wasn't anything I could do.
No.
And then and then obviously we were planning to regroup and do better, and then obviously as we discussed earlier, we weren't given that opportunity this year. So how obviously you've had some amazing results in your career, but you're still only in your mid-20s, so you still got the best years ahead of you, in my opinion. Um, Obviously you've done it a long time from being, me picking you up and putting you on the team at 16. Have you still what's your thoughts now? Obviously now you're having to work a normal job. I guess you didn't get any offers from any other teams this year to put you on at a later date.
Yeah, so the biggest killer for me was my season last year for sure. Obviously, if you're a rider doing well, then you're going to be in demand, and everyone's going to want a piece. And that's how it's been. Like, in the past, I've had deals off other people and offers and stuff. And, we've always stuck by, nuke proof and all the rest of it. So I had a crap 2023. It was horrific, like very up and down, very just down. And I was like, right, okay, same with 2019 and 2022. I was like, right, pick myself up, dust myself off, get fixed if I need to get fixed, and just go again. And I had another year in my contract, and I was living in the Scottish borders, which is, in my opinions, one of the best, if not the best place to train for enduro, with just the variety of tracks and different hills we've got here on the doorstep. So I was feeling really good, and yeah, it just all got turned upside down in November. I was like, right, okay. So I emailed every team. I reached out to everyone who I could, and being on a factory team from the beginning, you don't really have that many contacts yourself. Everything goes through you. You make all the deals, you provide everything. So then when it came to that, I was like, right, I need to speak to everyone I can, and I was like, but who do I speak to? Do you know what I mean? Like, I didn't have email addresses, I didn't have anything. So, I emailed as many people as I could, message people, and like, I think the EDR even sent an email like with like a little bit of the CV that I put together, and all the teams either came back with like, we're full, we're not looking to spend any more money, this, that, and the other, and which is fair enough, like the industry, it isn't on and up. Everyone knows that. And I was like, right, okay, fair enough. But then there was still this, glimmer of, we might have something with chain reaction. I was grateful. I just got a really good pay rise after 2022. That we negotiated, and I was like very grateful. I think that was another thing was, he was paying me really good money, and And I know no one really talks about money in our industry, but I felt like I was getting paid really well, and I didn't feel like I was worth it after 2023 at all.
Yeah,
Uh, I was like, finally I've got, I'm comfortable. I've got a house. I can pay for everything. Like I can just focus on what I
mm,
need to focus on, and it went to pot. So yeah, that was frustrating. So the chances of me getting paid at that point for like a full time wage to be able to pay for my bills at home and train like I need to train, and someone to take me out to the races was so far away from reality.
yeah,
So I thought, right, you know what? No other teams are interested in spending any more money, which is fair enough. I'll stick with Chain Reaction. Well, I'll stick with Nuke Proof, and we'll keep our fingers crossed. And like no one was really jumping ship at that point. You were staying, and you was like hopeful, and everyone else was there, and we like everyone had a chat. And you'd ring me up and ask me how I was doing, and I was delivering parcels 6 days a week, and being a professional mountain biker, living your dream, doing your dream job, it's the best feeling in the world. And then to come down to delivering parcels, some people might do it, every day of their life, but I wasn't used to that at all. And my mindset was, like I've lived the dream for 8 9 years. So, like a year of doing something that I don't really want to do, it's fine. Like some people live their whole lives doing that. Not that I promote it and I think it's great, but like if I've, sometimes you've got to, you take the good with the bad, and you've just got to take it on the chin. Do your bit, pay your bills, and just ride it out.
yeah,
So I rode it out until February. Nothing changed, and the whole thing went to pot. So I was like, right, okay. So I was trying to get the coaching going because obviously, I've been coaching since I was 16, and I get very passionate about seeing other people do well. You are very much the same. You've done a lot in your time for sure. So I was like, right, I'll get that going. But then I was like, well, I'm working 6 days a week.
yeah,
Like working every day and then coming home on a Saturday and thinking, right, pack my bag, go coaching on Sunday, and just like trying to promote it and stuff like that. And people are asking for dates, and I could only do one Sunday a week. You know what I mean? It wasn't really working, so I was like, right, okay, this isn't going very well at all. So eventually, I got a first aid course, got the coaching going a little bit, and my manager at Every, who I was delivering for, she was really good, and she let me have some time off and to coach and do whatever. But yeah, it like now I'm in a different job. Like I say, I'm working. I got my weekends back again. I'm working away quite a lot. So when I'm working away, I can go to the gym. Like last week, we were down in Middlesbrough, and I was going for runs every day on the beach. And I was like, it's kind of like what I'm used to. Even though I never enjoyed the training, it was just part of me, and it's something that I've always done. So it's so weird not to do that. And you see the athlete body start disappearing, and you're just like, oh no, what's going on? And for the first time in my life, I've got to like properly watch what I'm eating and stuff, because when you're training, like you can you're not you're not going to eat crap every day, but you eat a bit of you have a packet of Jaffa cakes before bed, and you're not going to notice any difference the day after. Whereas now I'm like, oh my god, I shouldn't be eating this. So it's weird. It's very bizarre. I've spent a lot of time at home. Never argued as much with my girlfriend in all my life. So I thought I better get a job where I go away again a bit more. So yeah, it's weird, mate. It's taking a bit of getting used to. I don't want to have to get used to it for too long. Like you said, we had a good chat before, and we've got a couple of ideas. And if something does come through from that, amazing. If it doesn't, like nowadays, I get to ride my bike for fun, and I get to ride my e-bike all the time, which is an absolute rig. And if it's absolutely throwing it down, I don't have to go and pedaling it for 5 hours.
sure.
You know,
I think, it's kind of I know how bad the industry is at the moment, so I know there's not much money in it, and unless you're like smashing it on YouTube and getting, millions of views on there or winning World Cups or, whatever, it's quite it's hard to get a salary to ride your bike, but you know the skills you've got. I mean, you're good at talking, you're good at explaining, you're good at.
Bit too good, I think.
But you know, there's people out there that should definitely take you up, and you're a great person to market any bike brand and stuff. So I'm sure something will come about, and like you said, we'll try a few things ourselves to see if we can get some stuff going. But you know, if you had the opportunity now, you know, you've had a bit of time off to reflect and think about stuff and work a normal job, which, like you say, isn't a lot of people have to do that their whole lives. But when you've been a professional athlete doing something you love, it's kind of harder. But you know, if somebody come to you now with a budget and said, "Yeah, Elliot, we'll give you the budget. You just got to train, get in shape." What discipline do you think you would choose to do now moving forward?
Um, Tough question, really tough question, and I appreciate all the things that you just said. It means a lot coming from someone like yourself that's been behind me since pretty much day one, and to still think them things is it's fucking massively appreciated. Um,
Truth, mate, you know.
but yeah, like if you wanna make a living in EWS, downhill, crank works, you've got to be one of them top dudes. There's no finishing 15th anymore and making a living out of it and doing it every day and not having to worry about anything else. Which I think is hard. I'd like to do the YouTube thing. But the only thing that stops me is, well, now it's time. And I also think you've got to hit it and you've got to hit it hard every day. When I was racing, I struggled with that because I'd have to focus on the racing quite a lot. And when this YouTube racer thing kind of came in, I wasn't really doing that well anyway. So to then go and distract myself, I thought, and start a YouTube channel and doing all this other YouTube stuff, I thought it'd take away from my racing even more. So I tried it a bit, and my race results weren't getting any better. My YouTube videos were terrible. But I understand you've got to start somewhere. But um, I honestly don't know because obviously to do well in downhill, you've got to be there every day, and like I'll be honest, I don't know what I'd personally do. I'd just be grateful to do anything if that makes sense. My outlook's changed, and if someone, I think I could be good at either. To be honest, without being big-headed, I've raced both in my time, and I'm still young. I'm fit. I'm strong. It wouldn't take me much to get into race shape at all. And like you say, that desire's still there. Again, I feel like sometimes I'm too much of a realist, as in like I think my chances of I worked my ass off for 8 years, and the highest I got was like 15th in the EWS overall. I know I got the other titles and stuff as well. So then I'm sat here now thinking, I can only do it so much, and I'm not going to ride as much as I am. My chances of getting there are so slim. And I've got to worry about all this other stuff. I'm on minimum wage, got bills to pay, mortgages, all this other stuff that I've never had to even think about before. But yeah, I'd love to be in the downhill industry. But the way it's going to get into the downhill industry is again almost impossible. Especially with how it's rumours of it moving forward in the next couple of years. I think it's going. Well, I just think the ego's getting a little bit large in my own personal opinion, and they're trying to turn it into Formula One, where I don't feel like we have the viewing figures. I don't feel like we have anything like that to try and make it um, such a factory driven sport. The privateers, what they buy the bikes, they fund everything. People at home, people who are watching this, they're the people that pay all the wages, and yet for them to be so far away from it, I feel like it's mental. We're not Formula One. like how long until these top downhill races are finishing semis and going, yeah, mate, I'm on pole position for tomorrow. Do you know what I mean? Like it's not bike racing anymore. Well, it obviously is bike racing, but it's not like it used to be. And like I'll be honest, like I just watch the highlight videos. I don't sit there and watch the whole thing anymore. I'd rather watch, like you watch Supercross or motocross, and like I watched an AMA National the other day, and one of my mates has raced it from over here. Just got a wild card entry and went and raced it. You have to do qualifying and everything. You can't do that with a World Cup anymore. But why? You know
I
what I mean?
agree. It's taken away from the core coolness of the sport and the accessibility and at the end of the day, mountain biking basically it's a sport that's accessible to working class people. If we were all millionaires, we'd have a Ferrari going track car racing and whatever else. But
Well, you would definitely. Loves a Ferrari.
might not last very long, but we'll have a go. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see where it goes, and yeah, I don't know how it's going to go, but well, I guess we should wrap it up now. El, we've been chatting for a
Here
while.
for about a week.
We could go on and chat a lot more, and I'm sure we'll do another one late a later date when we've hopefully got a bit more positive
Yeah.
news stuff that we can do on our bikes because we all love it.
And
Um,
I miss having something to promote. I'm not like, oh, this is mint. Buy one of these. It's not like that, is it?
it's
Um,
weird.
but
We've
but
done it for so long. It's weird not to be doing it. That's
yeah, 100%. I don't know what to post on Instagram anymore. I always got shouted at for not posting enough, and now I've got no idea what to even post. It's like I just got a picture of my dog.
if I were you, I would continue posting the cool stuff you can do on your bike, whether you can just go and do some massive whips, some manis, some whatever. You've got skills that 99% of the people that are posting stuff haven't got. And I think if you're not doing that, you're wasting your talent and your opportunity to get something in the future. So
No, I understand that
it
for sure.
and hopefully when things hopefully turn around in the industry a bit more and I can come up with some stuff that we can do, we can at least have some more good trips and some good times and see where we go. But uh, I'd just like to say, it was a pleasure helping you and traveling the world with you, and I'm super proud of what you've achieved. And yeah, it's been great, and hopefully we'll have some more good times in the near future, mate.
Oh, honestly, thank you so much. Yeah, massive, massive part of my life is just growing up, learning from you, and the other boys on the team has sculpted kind of who I am today. So, um, yeah, genuine, like, can't thank you and everyone else that's been involved enough. And you know, if whatever comes in the future, we'll definitely keep going and try and get something in the pipeline. And the amount of people that send messages and it's like, when you're coming back, what's happening? And I'm like, I'm trying. I'm in a bit of a lull at the minute, but something will happen. I don't know when, I don't know what, but I'll be ready when it does. You know what I mean? And now I've got a bit more bike time as of the last 2 weeks. I can post more, I can do more, and just ride my bike again, and learn to enjoy it for what it is rather than race results, and like posting cool stuff and things like that. If it gets me somewhere, it gets me somewhere, but I'll have a good time doing it. Like I said to you before, if the things come off in future and we make some money off it and we can do it a bit more and more and more, brilliant. If it doesn't, I guarantee we'll have a laugh.
Yeah, we will, and yeah, we'll figure something out, and yeah, I'm looking forward to doing some stuff with you soon because it's been a while now, and I'm starting to never thought I'd say that, but I'm starting to miss you.
Oh, Jesus. Anyway, on that note,
No,
but yeah, no, it's going to be class, mate. I'm looking forward to it. I always like it when I see your name pop up on my phone. Usually it's something good, however. um, you know, we have to have them tough calls as well as the good ones. So, but yeah, looking forward to the future, mate. And thanks for having me on the podcast. And if there is anyone watching it that wants to have a dynamic duo, promote something.
We're here. We're available.
Hey, yeah, I'm. Nige doesn't have the equipment, so we're currently sat about 25 minutes away in distance. But we can be in the same place at the same time. It doesn't matter.
Just send us the mics.
Yes, please. Thank you.
No worries. Well, thanks for your time, Mel. Thanks for coming on. And yeah, I look forward to getting out on the bike with you real soon. And yeah, cheers, and all the best.
No worries. Thank you very much, you and Maya. Good luck with the podcast. Send me as many things to share on socials as possible. And thanks again, Maya, for putting it all together. It's been awesome.
No, I'll get you a t-shirt sorted.
Oh, yes. Come on.
All right,
Stay
mate.
on your bike.
Any bike.
Organic cotton.
Yeah, organic cotton. Get them
Oh,
on.
well, there we go. Michelle will be happy with that.
Yes, she loves it.
Yeah. Cool, mate. Yeah, you can sign off now, and thanks very much, and I'll catch up with you soon.
No worries. See you soon. Ta-ra.
See you, mate. Bye. So, I hope everyone enjoyed that. That was quite a difficult podcast for me to emotionally, because me and Elliot have been through so much together. We've had some amazing times and some amazing achievements with Elliot on the team. And obviously now, like you've seen in the podcast, it's not the best times for us, but we're going to stay positive. Love doing the podcast, and hopefully we'll get Elliot fired up and back racing and doing some cool stuff in the near future. So thanks very much for listening. Hope you've enjoyed it. Make sure you follow Elliot on all his socials and keep pushing him to do more stuff on his bike, because he's got so much talent and so much more to give. And please like, subscribe, and all that stuff. It keeps us going with the podcast. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week. Cheers.